What up, guys? It's your boy Forever One Wheel. We are back again in the machine shop. This is my old boss's machine shop at his house. I'm pretty fortunate for him to let me use it for whenever I'm making, little projects here and there for the motorcycle. So the thing that we're going to be working on today is I'm going to be making a prototype of this shift linkage for the bagger. So this was the very first one I made actually for my bagger that I just took off earlier because I'm going to remake it. So got my aluminum bar over here that I'm going to be turning everything down off of. Got this from my local aluminum shop, Gary Bros in Cambridge. They give me pretty good cash deals, so I usually go to them whenever I have my projects that I want to make. So yeah, my plan is to make another one of these to have as a prototype so I could give it to a machine shop and have them machine a bunch of them for me in the future, because ideally I don't really have the means to mass produce these, so I'm going to outsource them to somebody that does. But yeah, so that's my plan with that. I'll probably make some dyno ones in the future too. I don't think I'll be riding the Dyna too much anymore, unfortunately, just because I prefer the bagger. So I'm going to lean towards making more bagger parts, but obviously a lot of them can be interchangeable because Harleys are pretty simple. So there's a lot of parts that you run on baggers that you could probably run on a Dyna. I mean, the shift linkage is one of them, but obviously it's got to be a different size. So yeah, so that's the project for today. We're going to get working on this, and I'll try to walk you guys through the process. Trying to make some content here just because it's winter time now in Canada. I'm not really riding the bike right now because they salted the roads. It's actually still really nice out right now, but they salted the roads and I want nothing to do with the salt on my bike because it's already ruining my car and I don't want it to ruin my bike. So I'm not riding it in the salt because I spent too much money to make that thing mint, and I'm not really into messing it up. So yeah, without further ado, we're going to get working on this, and we're going to show you guys how I machine this prototype. Alright, so we took the, forget what these are called, but the linkages, the U-joints, I don't know, something like that. I can't remember what they were called, but spherical ball joints, something, can't remember. Anyways, here's the aluminum piece that we're going to be recreating. It's pretty simple. The reason why a lot of people make these out of billet is because the Harley ones are so junk that they usually break. I don't know about on the new bikes, but I know on the Dynas they break, and I'm assuming they do on the bagger if you don't upgrade them, because it's usually a shitty piece of mild steel raw garbage. So why not make a nice fancy aluminum one? And eventually also these are going to be like multiple colors. They're going to have my logo engraved on the side or etched with a laser. Haven't decided yet, but as you can see here, we've got the piece in there. What I'm going to do first actually is I'm going to stick this in a little bit farther because it's out way too much, because machining 101 is you never want your piece flexed out this much, because whenever the cutter goes on it, as you can see, you can move it, so that's going to throw off the measurement. Not that this is critical, but say you were doing a really big tolerance or tight tolerance aerospace piece for something important that was going on a jet that people's lives depend on, you'd want to make sure that was in spec. So first thing I'm going to do is just face off this end and center drill it. That way we can put the stock on. So by putting that stock on, it'll allow us to keep this from flexing, and then we can turn down the outer diameter. So here we are, we're going to do a first little pass here. None of this is critical. It's just to clean up the edge. Basically what we want to do is take the rough aluminum as you can see, it's a pretty shitty jagged edge, right? So we just want to face it off, make it nice and flat, so we have a solid spot to start off of. So as you can see, it's starting to clean up a little bit, but there's still a little bit of material that needs to come off, so take another pass. And as you can see now, it's pretty cleaned up at the end, which means we can now take our center drill, throw it in here, in our tailstock. So for those of you that don't know, I actually went to school for tool and die, general machinist, which is what my first career was of choice. I recently left it to go back to construction because it was a pretty slow business at the moment due to most of our stuff being in the automotive industry. So that's why I decided to go back to construction to make more money and be a little bit more busier. But eventually I think I would maybe like to go back into the machining gigs. But yeah, I did that for 2.5 years of school from 2015, basically 2014 all the way to like 2017 I graduated, and then basically worked in a shop for all of my 20s. So from 19 all the way till basically 28, I worked in a machine shop, and I worked in 2 machine shops, and one of them being my boss's machine shop here. Not this actual shop, but the guy that owns all the equipment that I'm working on right now was who employed me for 8 years. Very grateful for that. Learned a lot under him. Not just in machining, but learning communication skills, lots of other things, you know, how to properly conduct myself as a young adult, because, you know, when you're growing up, you don't really take orders that well, and at least I didn't, and I was grateful enough for him to work with me and teach me how to do things properly in life. But yeah, so he lets me come in here and work once in a while whenever I got a little project that I got to work on, and I'm pretty grateful for that. So yeah, basically what we did now is we faced off the end here. So now we are going to get into our tools here. I got to figure out where, oh, look at that, lucky draw. Here's our center drill. It'd be nicer if there was a smaller one, which I don't see, so we'll just prick a little. So this is our center drill right here. So we're going to throw this in our tool stock, or tail stock, which has a attachment. Tighten that up good. So basically, what we're going to do now is we're going to take our tailstock, bring it over, lock it up, and I'm just going to drill a hole in there till about pretty much the angle that's on there. And what that's going to do is allow me to put a center in afterwards, which is going to be this. It also spins, it has bearings in it that spins with the part, and what that does is it stabilizes the part when you have a long piece so that there's no flex and your cuts can be accurate. So I'll show you that once we start turning it down. When using high-speed steel, typically you want to use a little bit of coolant. This is just a little quick pass, so I don't need coolant really. But obviously it's better to have it. Just like I said, it was just a quick little prick, so we don't need it. So we did that. Pull this back out of the way. We're going to take this out. Take our center drill out. Trying to be a machinist one-handed is quite annoying right now. I should have brought my stand to film this. Take the tail stock out, or the chuck out, sorry. Wind that back out a little bit so that when you put this in, it'll grab, because it's like a taper lock. Jam it in there. Should be good. All right. Next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna pull our material out. So as you can see, that's my finished piece and that's my raw material underneath. So roughly I'm just guessing how much I gotta pull it out so that way I can do all the operations that I need to do. So we got that out roughly. Gonna take our tailstock, lock it up again. Now this time we're gonna crank this in till it seats right in the end of the piece. Just snug it, lock that one, boom. So now when we start this up, it is fully supported on this end as well as that end. So when we take cuts, there won't be any deflection. So what we're gonna do now is we're gonna take our mic, just double check what we're at for material. And we are at 750 pretty much, which is the same as that. Damn. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna take a little lick off that basically. Not too much, because I don't have to take too much to be on size. The good thing about this is it's not really critical for measurements. The only thing that matters is the threads at the end and the overall length. But as far as the overall diameter and the design, it can be whatever I want it to be. So we're just going to take a quick lick on this. So as you can see, we turned down the outer diameter so we get a nicer finish. So we're about 735. My original one was 750, so I altered the outer diameter just a little bit because, quite honestly, it doesn't really matter, and it's just for visual aesthetics. And this material was already on size, rough stock. I think when I made this one, I had a thicker piece that I turned it down from, so that's why I chose to go with 3/4 for the finished size. But like I said, we'll just manipulate it right now because it doesn't really matter. Obviously, if it was something critical that I needed that to be right on size, then what I would have done is bought a bigger piece of stock and turned it down right to that diameter. So the next thing we're going to do is we are going to put an angle on the end of here to mimic that angle, just to give it a little nice design. And then we are going to start threading the holes as well as adding some clearance to them so that our spherical joints over here can thread in with no issues. Now we're drilling the hole for the threads. So this has to be pretty deep on this. Make sure you use coolant. I got some here, I'm just trying to film at the same time. Now I'm beginning to thread the hole for the end pieces. So yeah, just gonna thread that now, slowly but surely. Now what I just did here is I took an end mill. Basically, I made like a little clearance for this to be able to fully bottom out, as you can see on this as well. Just clearance on that one, clearance on that side. Last thing to do before we flip the sides is that 45-degree angle. So now what we're doing is we are putting the angle on my part. Using the cross slide here. But I think we're getting there. Alright, so what I just did now was I took the parting tool and I measured out my distance that the barrel needs to be, and we have now parted it off on this side. So as you can see, one side is complete. Now we just got to flip it around and do the other side so that it's symmetrical. But so far our shift linkage body is almost complete. Keep in mind when you're making these, one of these is left hand thread and the other one is regular right hand thread. So that's just what makes it adjustable on the actual swivel itself. Okay, so you've seen me take this stock piece of aluminum. Now we've got our barrel, both sides threaded, one right hand thread, one left hand thread. So now we just got to do the last step on it, which is to do the flats. So the purpose of the flats are for aesthetic, because like I don't really just like the regular tube, it looks a little bulky. This way it will shave down some weight and it'll look a little better. And it'll also give me a flat spot to be able to either engrave or machine a logo in once this is colored. So this is a finished product right here, as you can see. So we're gonna turn this one into that now. And to do that, you are gonna need a mill. So as you can see, we got our mill right here. We're gonna set up a cutter and get everything going. Show you in the next slide. All right, so the final step now, I'll just shut the machine off so you guys can hear what I'm saying. So you got the fly cutter, and we're basically just going down the depth I want to get this nice finish on it. So that way it's got a little bit of a, you know, a little bit of a more of aesthetic look to it than just a round piece. Probably come up with a different design at some point, but for a starter I think this is pretty good. It's simple, it's strong, and it does the job. So as you can see, I got it all set up. Just got to do that side and then do the other side and we're all done. And there you have it. That is our finished product for the shifter linkage. So the left hand thread always goes to the front, right hand thread goes to the rear. So when we put that back on the bike, it'll be somewhat like that. But that's actually for a buddy that I made. So I'm gonna get some different heim joints because these are the ones off mine. I just needed them to actually make the part just for a mock-up. Yeah, so that's finished product. I'm pretty happy with it. It's solid. I've been running it on my bagger for 2 seasons now, and obviously that's not going to break in comparison to what comes on the bike. You know, in the future, like I said, I might change the design, but I think for now this is a good starting point, and I'm probably going to have these anodized, and they need to get my logo put on it. That's what that flat is for. I want to be able to engrave the brand name into it. So it won't be like a logo, but it'll be like a nice brand name writing. You know, if I do it black, it will pop with the engraving. So that's pretty much that. Yeah, we're gonna get some new throttle cables here for the Road Glide soon, working on that. Also going to upgrade the rear brake to the bagger Brembo. We also got to get a bigger rotor for that. I think it's 11.8 to run the bagger Brembo. And I think we're going to need another spacer, different spacer for the wheel here. So that's going to be another project for another video. Working on some more points covers too. Hopefully those will be coming soon. And I'm working on a couple oil pan mods here. I bought 2 oil pans a while back because one of them I'm actually using for measurements right now to turn into 3D data so that I can start making these out of billet aluminum. That's my plan. That way I don't have to weld baffles in here or weld the pickup. I'm just gonna get it all made out of billet aluminum so it's solid, one piece, and it's gonna have drain plugs, everything you need. So I'm looking forward to making that. But yeah, anyways, that's some footage for today. Thanks for the support, guys. Thanks for watching. Hopefully I'll try to keep some content going through the winter. It's gonna be a little bit slow just because I don't have a lot going on right now, but I will try my best to make some content whenever the opportunity arises to make something new or something that I think might be useful for everybody to see, or entertaining at least. But anyways, guys, thanks for watching. Take it easy.